Hello, my name is Bram Lagrou. I'm the founder and managing director of Lagrou Partners. This video is dedicated to financial planners and insurance advisors. The point of the entire video is to show you specific and accurate information as to how you can build your business more quickly and improve the efficiency and effectiveness of your business development activities. What it means, for example, is behind me, you see that the entire business development cycle counts 7 critical skills. Everything from prospecting all the way till repeat business and referral business, and how to create that, and anything in between. There is 3 key skills in our analysis, the research that our firm has conducted over the last few years, and has shown that professionals, particularly in financial planning and insurance, they have a high correlation with certain traits and certain communication styles, and also certain skill gaps also in terms of strengths as well, obviously. Now, we won't talk about the strengths, but what I would like to show you is those areas that if you were to strategically develop those, it will instantly be translated into your balance sheet and will help you grow your business. So in this sense, let's just dive into it. The first one is first impressions. First impressions, we all know, first impressions are made within 30 seconds. And knowing how financial planners and insurance people, they typically have a certain style that they are very natural at. It also means that if they were to replicate this style or act just the way they are with every single individual that they come across, they will only be effective with those very people that are in the same boat with them. I'll come back to that point in a moment. But there's 4 different styles. And our style can only be effective with the same people with the same style as well. And so first impressions is a huge opportunity for us to do better. Let me just give you an example. A lot of people that I know in financial planning, they like people, they like to do business with people. They also like, facts and analysis, and they are not necessarily the type of people that would like to to be too direct and perhaps too blunt and very results orientated with other people. Now, that means that if you come across a client who hasn't got much time, who's very results orientated, who's very blunt, very direct, sometimes abrasive, and always very time conscious, very often those people in financial planning may be put off a little bit, especially if they have a higher degree of S component being the green, which I will be touching base on in the next slide. If they have that sort of high degree on the disc, they will be the first ones to have difficulties in relating effectively to a high D client. And so that's where opportunities are lost or gained, provided you know how to treat with those situations and those clients well effectively. So that's one. The other one is an interesting one. I'm actually going to come back first to prospecting before I come to closing, which is the third. Prospecting is the other one. Prospecting means that we spend enough time with the right people. Now, when we are highly analytical in our field, which again quite a few people in your industry are, when you're highly analytical, you tend to really like to look at facts and details and put graphs together and read and the likes, which means that it takes away from spending time with people. And that is obviously not a good way to develop business. If you want to grow your client base, if you want to help more people with your products and solutions, the more time we spend with better people, the more we will be rewarded for it and the more our business grows. Equally, if we are more that sort of really face-to-face people person that likes to build very loyal, long-standing relationships with a select group of people, who's really a nurturer rather than a hunter. This is a high S style. That typically means that that person will not necessarily be driven to pick up the phone to somebody new, as opposed to rather calling on somebody existing. And this is really where the challenge lies. If 2 phone calls come in, a high S advisor will typically like to look after the person that he already knows rather than serve or follow up on the person who's got a new query. And so it's about how we deal with those incoming calls. prospecting is a key skill for most people in this profession. The other one is just think about networking. We go to networking functions, and very often advisors in financial planning and insurance will go automatically to the people that they already know. So even though they are taking time with the so-called idea of going out to meet new people, what effectively they are doing is revert back to their comfort zone and just spend time with the people that they already know. So the question is then really, is that time well spent? Is that really the entire reason why we go out and take the time in the first place? Probably not. And so that way again, prospecting is really a tremendous opportunity for people in your field to to do something with. Closing speaks for itself. A variety of ways to help people to commit, help people to make a decision, and obviously a decision in your favor. And how to deal with everything that goes with it's not the right time. We will probably need to defer to next financial year. I will need to speak to my partners. I need to speak to my accountant. All these valuable reasons and how to deal with them effectively. This is what closing is about. Most people in insurance and financial planning, they can seriously improve those skills, refine them so that they become better at their craft and help more people with their technical expertise. That's really what it's about. So we spoke about earlier about these 4 sort of styles. This is based on DISC, which is an international accredited sort of way of thinking. There's a lot of tools that are developed around the DISC theory or the typologies. And we, for example, use very advanced DISC assessments in combination with others to illustrate what our own style is, so that we can also start learning what other styles look like, and most importantly, what we need to do differently in order to be more successful. Now, the sort of research that we have conducted has shown us that very many financial planners and insurance people have a high degree of S, being the green component. And 25% of the general population is there. Actually, in Australia, it's slightly more at the moment. It's more towards the 26 point something. So there's a bit more high S people in our country. But it also means that there's so many more that are not necessarily in that particular category and that don't have that same style in common with you. Equally, we also have noticed that there's a high degree and correlation with, in the profession with blue or high C, being the analytical part of it. It obviously speaks for itself when you deal with claims and insurance, and most importantly with products that where you need to calculate things and plan for the financial future and good retirement. That definitely has that high blue component as well. So depending on where you are, it means that you will either have 1 style or 2 styles, sometimes 3, very rarely 4. So it means really most of us, we have 1 or 2 styles dominantly, which means 50% of the people that we will deal with will have a different style to one that we are natural at. Which means unless you and I learn new ways to deal with those people successfully as well, you will instantly shut the door and give business away to somebody else, even though that very same person may need you right now. Maybe you can help that person very well, but you somehow are just not getting the right wavelength. You're not tuning in with each other. Somehow there's no chemistry, and that chemistry or the lack of chemistry is doing yourself and them a disservice. So it needs to be us being more creative about establishing the rapport the right way, and there's a lot of ways on how to go about that. But this requires soft skills, and this is now leading us to the next thing. If we were just to have a look at it, with certain traits here that you can develop just by bolstering your first impressions, rather than from having a success rate of 25% or 50%. And if you can actually increase that from 25 to 50 and from 50 to 75, instantly you have more opportunities to help people with your products and solutions, right? And these numbers just, are a few examples of that. Same thing with closing. We could have done the same with prospecting, obviously, but looking at closing, if we know that our first impressions were not necessarily favorable in all of the 10 cases, and we already lost a few opportunities there. If we then go to closing, and from whatever was left, we know that our closing techniques could be refined and improved. We could help more by just being more flexible about how to ask for the business and deal with the excuses that our clients come with. If there again, we are only half the time successful, we again lose more business there to somebody else who is more successful compared to us. And so this really means that we can go from 10 options to sometimes down to less than one that we're effective at. And this explains why we are investing so much time and effectively wasting time because of our lack of efficiency. We are not effective enough along the way. So the more effective we become, the easier it is to help more people with our products and services. And this is our responsibility. This is your responsibility. It means that you need to take charge of it and see your weaknesses as an opportunity for you to become better and differentiate yourself from your peers and your colleagues in the same profession. The more skilled you become in those more soft areas in conjunction with your product knowledge, the better it is that you can service a growing group of clients, and very happy ones indeed. So here's my 4 key action points. Again, there's obviously differences that are always involved, so it always pays to look at your situation specifically. But now looking at that research finding, what are 4 key takeaways for financial planners and insurance people here? First one is build relationships with new people. Make sure that whenever you take time to network and you buy tickets to attend, that you take time out of your busy schedules, that you ensure that that time is productive. It's easy to be busy being busy, but the trick is for really to become a professional and a top performer in your field is to be busy being productive. And productive means that you're more profitable than anybody else. And so that's really the number one. Secondly, modify your approach to suit the person that you meet with. Again, we all have our own style or styles. It means that somebody that may need our services and products may have a different style. In that very situation, be able to pick up on it quickly, learn how to read people, psychologically speaking, and then make sure that you take an approach that makes them feel comfortable. Make them feel at ease in your presence, and suddenly you become a much more trusted advisor to a much more growing client base than ever before. Number 3 is build confidence with a coach. I've seen it time and time again working with financial planners and people in insurance, that they sometimes are their own worst enemy. They sometimes have such a skeptical mind, which obviously is required to be successful in the profession, but it can also sabotage your own performance. And so building your confidence, when you are on stage, can you learn how to think differently about yourself so that you emit a different picture of yourself in the eye of the beholder? Can you learn how to work a room and network and shake hands with a variety of new people and existing people? Of course you can. So it's all about building confidence with somebody who you trust, who you enjoy working with, and who you see that is already at a much more advanced level in those key areas that you can improve on. If you strengthen the weakest link in the chain, your entire chain becomes more stable and more sturdy, which is exactly what we're trying to do. Number 4, learn how to ask for the business in a variety of ways and get it. I think mostly the lack of follow-up and lack of follow-through is what typically, explains why so much business gets lost. It gets lost in the absence of the question, which is, would you like to take it on? Or which option do you prefer and why? These type of questions, we can really learn how to have them roll off our tongue at the right time. And also, not just ask once, not just ask twice, not just do it during the presentation, but also afterwards. Ask and keep checking in with a client to help them feel comfortable about taking on a solution that you already know is exactly right for them. The trick is to make sure that people feel comfortable in admitting that this solution is right for them. And so, what does it matter if we have the best solutions for our clients if we are not persuasive and influential enough to help people take it on? You know, it does. If the product in a way sits on the shelf, what good does it do? It doesn't do any good at all. Which is why, again, you want to make sure that they help, that they find their way to it and they take it on. So this is it. My 4 key points based on our research. I hope this was helpful. It would be much of a pleasure to speak with you in the near future and possibly also work with you. Anyway, I appreciate you looking at this, and any questions, please feel free to contact us. My name is Bram. Have a great day. Bye-bye.